Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Emma Lingard. Tonight we find out how Humberside Fire Brigade is working with local businesses in fire safety. And joining me in the studio is PC Kate Atkins to talk about Rock Challenge, which begins this week. But first it's over to James Dunn for the news headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today, police find a new vantage point from which to fight crime on the roads, and Oompa Loompas have been spotted handing out chocolates in Grimsby. Police caught 85 lorry drivers committing driving offences in a special operation to show them that they're not above the law. Heavy goods vehicles are much higher than other cars and vans, which can make it nearly impossible for other drivers, including police, to see inside. So last week, police drove a flatbed lorry around northern Lincolnshire for 4 days, getting a unique insight into what these drivers are up to. They spotted 85 offences being committed, including people not wearing seat belts, reading maps at the wheel and texting or playing games while driving. But the same operation is conducted all over the country every year, and locally they have noticed a slight drop in the rate of offending.
Okay, well I think it's becoming quite well known now on the road that we do this type of operation, not only in Humberside but across the country. It is being used across the country, and I think the word is getting out. We've caught approximately 80 so far offenders this week. Last time, that's in 4 days. Last time it was 75 in 3 days. So I would like to think that we are having some benefit, the operation is having some benefit. What I would say is the majority of drivers, the majority of lorry drivers are wearing the seat belts. Vast majority are compliant. It's only the very small minority that we're catching, but it's the minority that cause the problems for everybody else.
A 2-year-old boy has sadly died after falling into a private pond in Woodmansea, Beverley on Monday. He was taken to Hull Royal Infirmary but sadly died shortly afterwards. A 29-year-old woman was arrested but has been released on bail until the end of April. Too many businesses are scared to ask for help to improve fire safety for fear of being shut down or incurring huge costs to get things up to standard. That's according to Humberside Fire and Rescue, which is encouraging businesses to seek advice because the cost of a fire could be far greater. They want people to know that they don't want to shut people down and would much rather work with companies who want to improve.
I think sometimes companies are afraid to approach the fire service because obviously there is the legislation. If they're not compliant, there is a possibility they'll be prosecuted. But what I would say is don't wait for us to come knocking on the door to see how things are. You know, approach us. We're available on the telephone, we'll give advice. It won't cost anything. We can advise them if they might need to consult with consultants, or we may be able to give them the advice to carry out a fire safety risk assessment.
More on that later in this evening's news. Police have asked cat owners to be vigilant after reports a cat was shot and killed in Immingham. A resident on Margaret Street called police at around 5:50 a.m. after he found his cat under his car. Upon closer inspection, he believed the cat had been shot, but police are still looking into this possibility. It's the only incident of this type reported, but nonetheless, police are asking pet owners to look out for their animals and call police on 101 if they see anything suspicious. The A18 Barton Street is closed today between Laceby Top and Ludborough. There will be diversions in place using the A16, A1243 and the A46. It's closed for routine maintenance but will be open again as usual tomorrow. All of Hull's museums have retained their accredited status from the Arts Council. The status is vital ahead of City of Culture 2017 as it allows them to apply for a wide range of funding from various sources such as the Heritage Lottery Fund. And finally, the sight of an Oompa Loompa from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is usually good news for chocolate lovers. And that was definitely the case for shoppers in Grimsby, who will have spotted the orange characters outside Thornton's in the precinct yesterday. Over the last few years, the chain has closed a number of loss-making stores around the UK and focused more efforts on supermarket sales. But they've actually invested in this still successful Grimsby branch, which has now reopened after a refurbishment. Staff dressed up as Oompa Loompas and handed out chocolates from the store yesterday.
People are stopping in more, they're going more family orientated nowadays, not going out to the pubs and clubs as they used to. So when they're having a party indoors. We're one of the highest performers in our region and they're investing in the highest performers. Everybody indulges in something in life, and ladies like go shopping, dress shopping, Some people smoke, some people drink, some people have treats. I think chocolate is a nice indulgence. It's something that you can buy every week. And I think the Grimsby people do like to be happy, and chocolate definitely makes you happy.
That's all from me. I'll see you next time.
Fire can have a devastating effect on homes or businesses. Even without loss of life or injury, there's the distress of rebuilding or clearing up property. One Scunthorpe family business suffered a fire last October, and as a result of the investigation into its cause, were found to be in serious breach of fire safety. James Dunn went to find out how the Humberside Fire and Rescue Service have worked with them to save them from prosecution.
Fire safety can be time-consuming and costly, and in these austere times it can become a second priority for many businesses. But a fire can quickly put things into perspective, as it did here at Powell Packaging in Scunthorpe.
Well, it made a huge difference. I mean, it was just shock when you saw how fierce it was, excited by the draft of the fans as well. Yes, it could have been a lot worse. If it once got hold, it would have, in seconds, could have taken the building. Yes. Fortunately, everybody was out, so it all ended well.
Fire investigators could have shut the site down because of serious safety concerns, but instead they chose to work with the businesses to help them improve. They now want companies to know that they don't have to be afraid to ask for help.
No, we don't want to shut people down. We want to help them, we want to walk them through the maze of bureaucracy that there is. And especially in these times of austerity, when companies are spending a lot of money just to keep their own staff employed, we don't want them to be having to spend a lot of money, but we want them to be safe.
Since the fire, they've been on a journey of improvement, and now they're a shining example of good practice.
Initially, when I arrived at the factory, it's best described as it was an accident waiting to happen. So there were slips, trips, falls, there was no emergency lighting, so if the normal lighting had failed, in the event of a fire, people wouldn't have been able to escape easily. Since then, they've put in walkways, they've put in additional emergency exits, they've highlighted walkways, they've put emergency lighting up, floodlit emergency lighting, and they've educated the staff. The staff are more pro fire safety now than they were. They've spent a lot of their own time and a lot of their own cash to improve things, which if they hadn't have done, could have been serious, if there'd have been a loss of life.
And far from being put out by the changes, staff are actually happier with their new way of working.
It's made it easier to work, I would say. Now we've got clear walkways, not only for us, for visitors. Also, we've got emergency lighting fitted, which helps when it's dark. People are more aware of where the fire exits and extinguishers are, where the fire assembly point is. It's been good.
And it just goes to show that health and safety isn't that bad if you're shown how to do it in a normal working way.
Health and safety isn't a load of bureaucracy and red tape. It's very important, that we safeguard employees and employers. It's very important that we work with the authorities, whether it be the HSE or the fire authority or the local authorities. If you work with them, then you'll achieve a lot more than you will kicking against them.
But you do get what you pay for, and such exacting standards don't come cheap.
Yeah, we spent a bob or so. A few £1,000 and you keep going on. Quite a lot of money, but it's well worth it in the end. And it creates better practice as well.
James Dunn, Estuary TV News.
After 18 years, Humberside Police Rock Challenge is going from strength to strength. Last year, over 3,000 students in the region performed, and on Thursday, the regional heats begin at Grimsby Auditorium, with 7 schools from North and North East Lincolnshire taking part. Joining me in the studio to tell us more is PC Kate Atkins. Welcome to the show. Now, everyone's heard of Rock Challenge, but briefly tell us, what is its aim?
The aim of Rock Challenge is to ensure that young people can lead a healthy and happy, safe lifestyle without any of the need for smoking, drinking, artificial stimulants. It's an education programme, essentially, to show them the harms and dangers that can come from these elements.
OK, now I'm sure there's lots of people out there who've got older children now that have said, oh yeah, we did Rock Challenge. So what are the youngsters actually encouraged to do then? Because it is performance-based, isn't it?
It is performance-based, yes, at the Grimsby Auditorium on Thursday this week. And each school will have been performing and rehearsing since probably August, September last year. So they're perfecting the routine, which is an 8-minute routine with all the elements of performing coming together in those 8 minutes on stage.
Okay, so do you give them any criteria that they have to follow as part of that performance?
No, it's very much up to the youngsters themselves to come up with a theme that's relevant and topical to them at the time.
Right.
This can be very, very simply something that's happened in their school, that's had an impact on them all, that they've chosen to investigate and perform against, or it could be something that from the wider community that's an issue in their area.
Okay, I mean, this is it. It's quite a broad spectrum really then of themes that they choose. Obviously there are judges. How are the judges selected and who are they?
Well, the judges are all local people who volunteer the services. All of them will have had their lives touched by Rock Challenge, so they'll either been performers initially or school teachers who've now retired, drama students, etc. And Rock Challenge has got into their blood, as it has mine as well.
Because it almost takes over your life, really.
It can do, yeah. I mean, certainly my life, I've been involved for the past 18 years with it, and I've seen it grow from strength to strength, which I'm really proud of. We started off with one event in Hull all those years ago, and now we are at 7 events in Hull, East Riding and Grimsby.
It's absolutely phenomenal, really. And from the school children's sort of like perspective then, how does the event help them then? In what ways?
They develop in so many ways. The self-esteem, encouragement from the local PCSOs and their peers, positive peer pressure. They learn to work as a team, all come together with a common goal. And on the day of event itself, you have to be there to witness the enthusiasm, the sheer joy from everybody, not just the youngsters performing, but the relatives who've helped maybe sew the costumes together, dads who've been joiners helping to put the set and scenery together. It really does bring the whole community together.
I was going to say that is a key element of it, isn't
Definitely.
it? Bringing all different ages and people from that community to work together.
That's right, and they're all there to encourage the youngsters in a positive way.
And they'll all be waiting on the night, do they? Because they're told on the night, aren't
they?
They
find
who's
out
got
that
through?
On Thursday it's the local heats, and they will find out who's going through to the finals, which are also at Grimsby Auditorium at the beginning of June. And those schools will be competing against schools from the whole of the north of England, Scotland and Northern Ireland as well.
Now, is this the first time the finals have been held in this area?
No, we've got such a fantastic venue in Grimsby. It fits our purposes to the T, so we've used it for a number of years now, and we're really proud of the support of North East Lincolnshire Council to help us do that as well.
That's right, because that's the other thing. To do this each time, you need a core group of supporters.
We do. We have very loyal sponsors year after year who support in various ways, from local business people through to corporate companies such as Arco, who year after year help us with our aim. You know, the events do cost money, but they're well worth it. And obviously, from a police point of view, I'm delighted that the current Chief Constable and the Police and Crime Commissioner are fully backing the Rock Challenge to continue well into the future.
I was going to say that it's an important element. And one last thing then, you've been involved from the very beginning.
I have.
Every time you watch those performances, do the youngsters surprise you with how they develop and what they're coming out with?
They really do. Every year I get just as enthused as I was the year before. I'm so excited already for Thursday. Just looking forward to seeing what themes they've come up with, how they develop those themes, what they've learnt from it, the confidence they've built, and just from a police point of view, getting to know the young people on a positive note rather than because there's other problems that they've had. It's really beneficial to everybody who's involved.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming in, and we'll be there on Thursday and hopefully at some of the other rounds as well. Well, that brings us to the end of another programme. If you have any stories, email us news@estuary.tv or contact us via our Twitter or Facebook pages, or pick up the phone and call 01472 315 561. Until tomorrow, goodbye.